whatnot. Thanks for coming tonight.
This is
really always
microphone.
I know, but they can hear it too.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you want to say anything about this particular gallery, or?
No.
Okay. I'll say this. It's been a while since I've seen the film. It's been a few months, and I was sort of taken aback, and I just want to say that, you know what? I made the fucking film I wanted to make. You know? And I sort of, right now I'm doing some other stuff. I just did a New Balance sneaker commercial. I had to deal with agency and all this bullshit, you know? And just looking at this film, I shot everything with like most of the stuff you see in the film is like me and that person in a room. Me and John Lydon, me and the Metallica guys, you know, all that. It was just me and sort of like my sort of rinky-dink camera. And so there's a real sense of intimacy to it. And I think that carries over into the film. But yeah, I made the fucking film that I wanted to make. And as an artist, it's a great feeling. Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's not like I didn't want to say anything about the gallery, but Carter spoke so beautifully about what they do here and what they show here. But you know, I was so happy that at the end of the film we could do that tag about Arturo Vega. Arturo was a friend of mine for almost 30 years. We had the same birthday, October 13th, and you know, he worked, I guess you would say, relentlessly with the Ramones. And I think he worked with them maybe like 35 years. He created that beautiful logo, that iconic logo. He was their lighting guy. I don't think in all those years he missed but 4 shows because he got a bout of pneumonia. And you know, he's very much loved still, and he's very much missed. But you know, I think when somebody is that powerful, you know, and people continue to talk about them, you know, it just lives in the air, and that's like a beautiful thing.
I thought also it was really neat to screen the film. Like, so much of this film takes place in this neighborhood. So much of this film took place, you know, around the corner, Dead Boys, CBGB's, you know, St. Mark's, the Ritz, you know, up the block, you know, the Lower East Side, you know, Save the Robots, the World, and all that. You know, so much of this film happens right around this neighborhood. Yeah.
Well, you know, the fun part also is that as young people, we would all be at CB's at night, and if you were underage, Hilly always said, you can come in, but if I see you with any liquor, you're getting thrown out. So what we used to always do, there was a back door, and it was filthy dirty. I'm sure there were rodents and everything back there. We'd put 6-packs back there and run to the back, drink them, come back in and be like, oh, we're not drinking. But also, you know, also the beauty of this whole neighborhood back then, because there was a certain beauty because of the energy of the music and all the types of artists that played at CB's, from all the UK bands that came here, like Deaf School and The Damned, to the Dead Boys practically becoming the house band there because Hilly managed them. But you know, one of the other things was that Arturo also worked relentlessly, again, about getting that corner named Joey Ramone Place. And that's really kind of fantastic, because that doesn't happen too often, that you get an artist, especially an underground or a punk artist, name on a street. But you know, we used to go back and forth from CB's to Arturo's Loft, 6 East 2nd Street. And you know, everybody was there, from Phil, from Pantera, to Shakira would come over one night because she wanted a Ramones t-shirt. So there was like something going on back then that can't be, and is never gonna be, recreated again. So when young people always say to me, you know, oh man, I wish I could see the Dead Boys, but you know, that doesn't happen. The one beautiful thing I love about the internet is that we have Google. So you could see, the Ramones' first show in 1974, when they played CB's, I think they must have done 36 songs in 14 minutes. It's awful, it's awful. But that's the germ of something that's soon to be like fantastic.
I just want to say that afterwards, we have posters. We'd love to sign a poster for you. We have some DVDs, a limited amount of DVDs. But by the way, the film is on Netflix now.
It's on Netflix, Amazon, and iTunes.
That's right. Worldwide.
Very excited.
Hey, real quick, I want to acknowledge two people that were a big part of this film. One is producer Michael Alex, stand up. And one is my cousin, my blood. Every success I've had in film, he's been a part of. My man, Alan Dubin. Let's take a few questions. Let's have a few laughs. My man.
Did you book the $2.09
Yes, I think it was $2.50.
Do you remember what Donna was playing in $2.09?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was when she first was first album. But you know, I also at some point in time I booked the Red Parrot on Wednesday nights, and I had everyone from Alan Vega and the suburbs from Minneapolis to Divine to
Chuck Berry.
And the one night that I had Jerry Lee Lewis booked there, and we sent him a 50% deposit, his manager called and said, "We're not coming." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Well, Jerry had like a surgery on the left side of his buttock, so we're not coming." I said, "I'll put a fucking pillow under his ass, get here." And they never came, and I said, "Well, you need to send back the 50% deposit." They never sent back the 50% deposit. But I also argued with Rob Light at ICN about booking Madonna on a Wednesday night, whether I should give her $2,000 or $2,500. I knew she was gonna just do 2 songs, Everybody and something else, and I guess look where she is now. But it was fun times back then, seeing all these people grow.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Jerry Brandt's still alive.
For sure.
Good old Jews. In the winter, they're in Miami, and he's fabulous. He must be, oh gosh, he must be 83.
He had surgery.
Yes, he gave me my star.
Yeah, he's trying to get a
Grateful.
Ritz film together.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I didn't know you probably saw it, but I love you.
Oh,
I love your
thanks.
energy. I love your
what is
energy.
your name?
Bob.
Hey,
I love your energy.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love your energy.
Who else? My man in the back. Speak loud.
Who stood out out of all the people that you interviewed in the doc?
Say it again.
Who stood out that was special?
As far as everyone who I interviewed?
Yes.
Well, for me personally, probably John Lydon. That was a big one because, he's a big influence, on me, and that was a big one. Like the Metallica guys, I sort of knew a little bit from back in the day. We're the same age, and Rob Zombie and all that, but John Lydon to me, had really resonated. And like for me personally, there's not a lot of people left who really literally changed the face of modern music.
Absolutely.
He's one of them. Bob Dylan's alive. He's in other. There's only a few left. Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney. There's only a few left. He's one of them. So that the Lydon thing really resonates. So, but I got to tell the Lydon story real quick. I'll tell it quick. So we're out in LA and we're doing interviews, and me and Alago were eating the night before, and I said, call Lydon, call his man, his like handler, guy he grew up with, Rambo, and see if we could bring anything, because we're going out to his house. So he calls, I'm sitting there, Lydon gets on the phone, I hear him, he goes, yeah, he says, bring a case of Corona, a bottle of tequila, and a carton of Marlboro Red, right? So we show up the next morning, I have a case of Corona, and then I have, the bottle of tequila with the worm in or whatever, and he's got the carton of cigarettes. And we knock on his door, in Malibu, and he answers the door. He says,
He basically laughs in our face.
he laughs and he says, "Oh, you took me seriously, huh? I was only kidding. But we all know if one fucking thing was out of place, it would have been the end of the world as we know it."
Correct.
So, that was sort of my and I looked at some clips before, and I was a little scared about interviewing Lydon because he destroys people in interviews. And if you've seen some of his interviews, he turns on people, and I'm watching one interview after the other after they're going, fuck man, this is gonna, I hope this doesn't go
most people,
bad.
all they ever wanted to do was talk to him about the Sex Pistols. So it's like so many years had gone by, and he was just sick and tired of that. And if that's the only thing you want to ask me, the interview's over. But he's a very loving and extraordinary person. I know him now, 37 years. We met at the Ritz at that disastrous show. I signed him to Elektra, and we made this generic record called Album, and the poster was called Poster, the cassette was called Cassette. I put out 2 of his records live in Tokyo, and This Is What You Want, This Is What You Get. I knew he was an artist who was never going to sell like 1 million records. It's just one of those things you know, but you want these people in your life, and you want to promote them as best you can, and we did. And even when I had to drop him 2 years later, and he always blames it on Metallica, but not so. We've remained friends. We've never had a bad word, and I completely adore him. And he's in this doc a lot, and I'm grateful. And he has a documentary coming out called The Public Image is Rotten. And it's fabulous, and I'm in that too. So, Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten lives. Hi. Did you have a question? Go ahead. Hello? Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Try that out.
Oh, so I think I was on my way to the Philippines to document the dictatorship of the Philippine Marcos dictatorship. I think I met Metallica on one of those trips
Okay. Where?
in airport. I think in
Okay.
Narita, right? Were they performing out in the eastern nations, countries?
Oh, I don't know. You have to probably be more specific than that.
Well, anyway,
Yes, please.
but do you know Aki Leon?
No?
Well, he produced 4-woman, worked with Atlanta Records,
Atlantic Records?
Nina
Okay.
Simone.
Okay. What is his name?
Aki, he's a Trinidadian Chinese guy.
Okay, no, I don't know him.
Well, anyway,
Yes.
he got me to Nina Simone's performance in New York at Top of the Gate,
Okay.
promoting Baltimore.
Oh.
That was her last performance in New
Well,
York.
I don't think it was her last performance, but whenever I have said to her, could you do Baltimore? And she says, we don't do Baltimore. I got fucking $10,000 from Creed Taylor, and he never gave me a dime after that. And if I see him, I'll put a hatchet in his brain. And I always thought that was the greatest story. So one of the nights at the Village Gate, I bring Kurt from Metal Church to see her. He knows nothing about Nina Simone. So we're hugging, we're kissing, and I said, take this. And she said, what is that? I said, it's ecstasy, don't worry. We'll be married by the end of the evening. And she took the ecstasy. We were all in heaven. She falls in love with Kurt. We all go to the Limelight. And the next thing you know, it's like 6 in the morning. They're throwing us out. I bring her up to the Warwick, and I got like my skull cap on and my leather on, and they wouldn't let me in because they thought, oh, this one's trouble. But she was my friend. So we were in the elevator, the police came, it was fabulous, and we just stayed in the elevator just talking to each other until I was like, baby, I can't go up with you, they're not gonna let me, give me a hug, give me a kiss. I went home, she calls me on the phone, I think we were on the phone till daylight because we were all so high. Anyway, nobody knows that. Well, now you know. You know what? She, for me, I was always very specific about the artists that I signed. And I am proud of everybody that I signed. But for me, Nina Simone was the greatest artist that ever fucking walked.
I think the
Well, when she did the Top of the Game,
Yes.
she came in late.
Well, always late, yes.
James Baldwin, brother.
Oh, well, yes, they were very good friends, her and James Baldwin. Does somebody else maybe have a question?
by the way,
No, that's fine too.
that Nina Simone footage that's in the film, there's not. Look, when you make a film, when making this film, clearing music and clearing footage is, fairly expensive and very nightmarish. And there's a few things that we felt like we gotta have that. So we had to go through the process, and 2 of the things that we felt we have to have, no matter what, we gotta deal with fucking Warner Chappell and their bullshit. No matter what, we had to get the Dead Boys footage from CBGB's from 1977, which is controlled by Rod Swenson, who was married to Wendy Williams from the Plasmatics, and the Nina Simone footage. And I didn't really know much about Nina Simone when I started making this film, but we were working on that segment, and I was poking around, looking for a clip that sort of, you want something that sort of sums it all up. I saw that clip and I was like, holy shit. Whatever it takes, we got to make that clip work. My man.
Oh, just 1 second, Charlie. But give Charlie, it's a clip from 1976 from the Montreux Jazz Festival. And it was a pain in the neck to clear, but I guess Drew thought, and still, and I think the same thing, that end was just so like, wow. That kind of just summed up Nina. But you can find that clip because it starts out just real kind of cool until she's not having it anymore. Because the song is called I Wish I Would Feel to Be Free. Charlie, I'm in.
My earliest recollection of you, Michael, is you and Steve Bader spitting at each other in front of CBG. Yeah, in the late 70s. So my question to you is, at what point did you decide that you weren't just a fan, but you really wanted to be not only a professional, but you wanted to be a mogul?
Well, I don't know if I was a mogul, but it's very kind of you. I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn. I had no idea what it meant to be in the music business, but I knew I had to do something in music. I didn't have a plan B. So, like you see in the movie, at some point, when Jerry Brandt hires me, that was really, I was 19, and that was the beginning of a music career. That through all of that insanity, through all that I almost died, and even after I almost died, I decided it was still a good idea to drink and do drugs. I guess once I got in at 19, it just was full speed ahead. And I worked for labels for 25 years. And like I said, I was very specific about the people that I wanted to sign, because I felt like they all had something to say. They were all, in my mind, they were all stars. And whether I was making the first Tracy Chapman record, at the same time I was making a Rotten record, because I just love music. To this day, I love music. And so 25 years went by, and then I stopped officially in 2004 because I saw that all the Tower Records were closing, all the Virgin Mega stores were closing, people were downloading music, file sharing music, stealing music, and I just thought, you know what, I did this beautifully for 25 years, now I'm going to take pictures. So I've taken pictures for about 12 years, and then at some point in 2009, Cindy called and said, I want to make a dance record. I executive produced her dance record, Bring It to the Brink. In 2010, she called and said, I want to make a blues record. So I took her down to Memphis, and we made a fabulous blues record called Memphis Blues. It got nominated for a Grammy. It didn't win. And there's really a very long, involved story about that, making of that record. But, I'm just saying this just because it's the latest thing that's happening in my life, is that I signed a book deal with a company called Backbeat Books, a little independent, but all the stuff that you can't tell in 88 minutes, honey, we're gonna tell. Including the this is the shortest version. The last time I saw Nina Simone was July 1999 in London. Nick Cave was doing a series of concerts called the Meltdown Series. So like the night before Nina was like Suicide, and the night before that was Elvis Costello. So I go to her room, she's getting her hair done, and she sees me, I bring a champagne and 2 dozen white roses, and she throws everybody out, and she says, let's take a bubble bath. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not taking my boxer shorts off. So we got in the pub, I got bubbles from the concierge, and we were like 14-year-olds, just sitting there laughing, drinking, and that night I brought her to the concert, and she was extraordinary that evening, and so somebody was knocking on the door, and it was Nick and Elvis Costello, who they were plastered. Basically, Elvis walked in, when he walked in, he was on his knees, and he kissed her hand, and she looked at me and she said, who's the white boy? And I said, that's Elvis Costello. She said, honey, I thought Elvis was dead. I said, no, you don't understand. He's a singer-songwriter. And she said, I don't care. And she poured the champagne over her hand just to like get rid of Elvis Costello. I mean, there was always a story with her. I totally adored her, and like I said, last time I saw her, July 1999. She died April 21st, 2003. I spoke to her the day before. I was going to my dad's grave in Brooklyn, and something said, call the south of France. I called the south of France. She had a stroke. She had stuff with breast cancer, and she said, oh, Sugar Lips, is that you? And I said, yes, my love, it's me, and I adore you, and I'm going to come to Aix-en-Provence tomorrow. So have somebody pick me up in Marseille. I forgot the computer on, and I wake up at like 7 in the morning, and CNN, it said, Nina Simone dead at 7. It was the worst thing to that point in my life that I ever happened to me. And I couldn't listen to the music for 2 years. And then I thought, what's that all about? I know what it was all about, but like, what's that all about? So then, once I started listening to the music again, it was like, you know, she was always there, like I said in the film, because she was that extraordinary. Anyway, that's it.
I think
Because I didn't know what to do.
I think the great rock and roll moment in the film is when he wanders from the street into the Ritz and Jerry Brandt hires him sight unseen. To me, that's one of those moments that, you know, that really changed. That was the moment right there. You know, just wandering in off the streets like that, and I just saw a glimmer in his eye, and I hired him. You know, it's really Jerry Brandt. That to me, that's like, fuck yeah, that's like the great rock and roll moment of the film. You know, what else? Hello. How about Scudato? Speak loud.
So, Mike, you're working on our film next. Drew, what are you working on next?
A few things. Well, this film also came out at the same time, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, and you can see that on iTunes, and that's been a great ride. Looks like I'm doing a rockabilly film with one of the guys from the Stray Cats, and we're getting that rolling now. Sort of like I don't want to say history rockabilly, but you know, just sort of rockabilly Americana, that type of thing. So I'm kind of psyched on that. Hopefully going to Viva Las Vegas in April and getting that going. My father's Muhammad Ali documentary that came out in the 70s, which has been in a drawer for 40 years. We've been doing some screenings with that. And so I just directed a New Balance commercial and playing music. And we'll see what else. You know, it's no secret that I'd like to do a Misfits film, you know. So, you know, just keep plugging away, you know, shit happens. I'm not a Hollywood guy, obviously, you know, so one thing's for sure, you know.
I want to fuck a net! I still want to fuck a net.
Oh my lord. I don't know who Annette is, and I ain't fucking anybody.
Annette?
So maybe, I don't know, do we have time?
All right, we'll do it.
Carter, do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so somebody say anything, I guess we do.
What is the biggest challenge of taking a beautiful, huge life and stuffing it into 75 minutes?
What's the biggest challenge?
8 minutes.
Well, that's a good answer. That's a good question.
My, I guess the answer to that, and his own answer is like, you just can't put everything in a movie because it disrupts the arc that the director wants to tell. So we chose some of the high points and definitely the low points, and we thought, boom, make a film. What do you probably have to do for that?
Sort of like my attitude with this film in a certain way was, let's get out there and let water find its own level. Like, I don't like to script stuff out or have the whole story told. I knew there were certain notes that we wanted to hear, obviously. Like, this, you know, the real moment came when, well, look, when I first met, I've known him for years, but there was a time where I went to talk to him. I thought, hey, I want to make a film. And I went to his apartment and we had this discussion. And at a certain point he said to me, you know, I just love music. And I was really taken aback by that. It was like that scene in Apocalypse Now, when he says, you know, when Dennis Hopper says, you know, and he meant it, you know? And it was like at that moment right there, I really felt like, I know who this kid is. This is the kid I went to public high school with in the Bronx. This is a New Yorker. Right then, I knew it. I got this. Because it's not about the guy who signed Metallica. It's not about the guy who signed Nina Simone. It's not about, you know, it's the story about someone that just loves music. And that's something that we all can relate to. And that's what I figured out pretty early on with this. But listen, when you're making a film like this, you know, a lot of elements come into it, like money.
We have none.
You know, music clearance, photo clearance, footage clearance, availability of people, you know, stuff like that. I mean, look, you know, we chased, you know, it's not easy to interview Cyndi Lauper and the Metallica guys. They're busy. They're doing stuff around the world. So, you know, it took like at least a year or so, right?
Well, and at some point we decided, let's just go to Metallica.
Right.
And we went to their compound in San Rafael, and we got that beautiful, wonderful footage of them.
And we got Cyndi here in New York, but
We shot Cyndi upstairs on the second floor of Sardi's.
Yeah.
Which is kind of appropriate.
So, you know, that's the challenge. You know, I mean, for me, I can only speak for me and my type of filmmaking, and you know, you just want to have a nice balance of things. You know, and you want to hit certain notes. You know, but like I said, I haven't seen the film in a while, and I enjoyed it. You know, I think I'm proud of it. I'm proud of that film. You know. All right, so we'd love to sign some posters for you. We got a few DVDs that are on sale, and
How much is the poster?
posters are free, man. Posters for everybody are free. We'll sign them. You know, DVDs are $20. Thanks a lot, everybody. Get home safe. We appreciate it.